The UFC White House card is obviously taking place later on this year in June, and I was looking through some of the fights that we could potentially have today, and I'm gonna be honest, it's not looking very good for this card. Obviously, earlier today, we had an announcement saying that the card had been moved to June 26th, and Dana comes out and says the media's full of shit, and it's still on the same date, which I didn't even realize was a Sunday. Now, I don't know what the UFC is thinking, but this is obviously going to be one of the biggest cards of the year in terms of the fights that they put on. So why would you put it on a Monday morning for almost like half your fan base? Everyone outside of America, all your European fans, all your fans from Australia, Asia, all those places, they're not going to be able to watch the football. They will be able to watch the fight, but a lot of them won't watch the fight because the timing is on. So already there, they've messed that up. I'm not sure why they're doing it on a Sunday, especially when July 4th is literally on a Saturday this year. So first of all, they've completely messed that one up. Go follow the Twitter as well. But Dana confirmed that it's still on the Sunday the 14th. But I was looking through the rankings today, and we might only have one title fight on this White House card. If you go through all the champions here, obviously Islam, he's not going to be fighting at the White House. He's probably going to fight before on the UFC 328 card. Ilya's going to fight at the White House, we know that. Hamzat, really think they want Hamzat Chimaev on the White House card? There's no way. Volk, he probably wouldn't want to fight in the White House just because it's Volk and he's one for the fans. And also, I highly doubt Dana White wants either Lerone Murphy or Movsar Evloev in a major fight on one of the biggest cards at the White House. Pereira, obviously, there's a chance we get him on the White House card, but he's already vacated his light heavyweight belt by the looks of it. So potentially a John Jones fight, maybe a Cyril Gane fight, but again, it's like, who's really getting that hype for a Cyril Gane fight? Especially after the Tom. I know he had a decent performance for the first 3 minutes before he fucking fouled him again. But I don't think anyone really cares enough about Cyril Gane to get that hyped. Peter Yan, there's a chance he fights with Mali on the White House card, but there's been some rumours going around there's not going to be any Russian fighters on the card. And also, I do think the UFC is going to run the trilogy between Merab and Peter Yan, just because, to be honest, I think at this point, that might be it's a more intriguing fight for sure than O'Malley, especially after O'Malley's last performance. Whereas also, Merab deserves it. The UFC, obviously they didn't like him before, but after this year and his activity, I think they will reward him. I say reward him, he deserves the trilogy for sure. I think they'll give it to him. Tom, he ain't fighting anytime soon. Pantoja, again, his arm. And Van, who's obviously the champ, he's fighting the UFC 327, so we know for sure he's not going to be on the White House card. And again, all these guys, JDM, Arman, probably none of them going to be fighting at the White House card, so I'm not sure what Dana is planning on doing. Obviously, there is a chance that Conor comes back, because he spoke about how he wants to come back for the White House card, how he's training. If we go through the rankings here, I highly doubt he comes back at lightweight, just I don't think he wants to cut that much weight anymore. It's obviously a lot bigger, we know why. But I think he's going to fight at welterweight. There's rumours of a Prates fight, that could be pretty sick. But again, we're also hearing stuff about JDM versus Prates in Australia, which would be a better fight in my opinion. Obviously, Ian's fighting for the title. Not going to do Morales versus Conor, Bilal versus Conor, Brady versus Conor. Kamaru maybe, but again, I doubt it. Leon, he's probably going to be fighting Medic. So I'm not sure who Conor's going to come back against. Obviously, there's Chandler, who for some reason is still ranked. I probably should have included that when I talked about the rankings yesterday. But I'm not sure with the way Conor's been talking. They've been saying it's going to be someone other than Chandler. I personally wouldn't mind seeing Chandler versus Conor on the White House card, just because at this point I didn't really care about the fight before. But after it's already been announced and it's been cancelled, and we've had Chandler lose to Charles and lose to Paddy, I just kind of want to see it happen more. I feel bad for Chandler at this point. So that I wouldn't mind being on the White House. I'm not sure if it'd be the main event, obviously, because Ilya versus Gaethje is for the title, even though it's the worst title fight that they can put on right now in the sport. It's probably the least intriguing. You go through all the divisions. Jan's next fight's going to be more intriguing. Tyra versus Van's more intriguing. Volk versus Evloev or Murphy's more intriguing. Because, like, we all know what's going to happen with Ilya versus Gaethje. My goat's going to get slimed out again. But maybe they just do Ilya versus Gaethje. Maybe they get a women's fight on here. But again, like, you go through the women's champs. Zhang versus Dern. Really? They're not going to put Shevchenko on the White House card? Fuck no. And obviously Kayla's recovering from surgery. I think she would have been on the White House card, but she injured her neck in January, and it's a 6-month recovery. Obviously, she's not going to be fighting anytime soon. Who even are some of these people in the rankings, man? Jesus Christ, women's MMA is cooked right now. But yeah, I'm just not sure what the UFC is going to be doing with this White House card. Obviously, we had Trump saying that there's going to be 6, 7 title fights, but looking at it, we might only get the one, and then maybe a Conor fight and maybe a John Jones fight. They could do Jones versus Alex, but again, like, obviously that's a big fight for the casual fans, but a lot of the real UFC fans, they kind of know how that's going to go, you know. We've seen Jones is just too dominant. I was obviously watch, but it's like, looking at how the card's looking right now, it doesn't even make sense, but it's just not looking like it's going to be a very good fight. It's not looking like it's going to be worth the 60 million that the UFC are apparently spending on this card. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm not sure if we're only going to get the one title fight. I don't even know if the card's going to happen yet. Another thing that's a bit of an issue is, like, this is around the time that they do International Fight Week a lot. You know, it's usually around the end of June, but they could be replacing International Fight Week this year, which would be pretty shit considering no one really cares about this card. Even Trump fans who are UFC fans as well. So I don't know. I hope we get, obviously, apart from Ilya versus Gaethje, I kind of hope we do get Chandler versus Conor, because at this point I would be kind of hyped for it. Maybe a Jones fight, but again, I don't know if the UFC will want him there. I would want to see Hamzat versus Strickland on the White House card for obvious reasons, but after they cut Strickland's microphone this weekend, I highly doubt that they're going to put him on the White House card, where there's going to be a lot of people who, you know, in some files recently, who might be at the event, and if Strickland somehow pulled off the win, and he had a microphone there, we know something crazy is going to happen, so I highly doubt they do that. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that real quick today, you know. It's looking like this White House card's going to be very fucking shit, and they're just ruining all the other cards around it for no reason. Like, UFC 326 in a couple of weeks is looking terrible, and everyone's excuse was, they're saving the cards for the White House, but it's not looking good right now, so yeah. Hopefully we get some announcements soon, I guess. They still haven't announced 327, so it's probably going to be at least 2 months till we get this announcement, but yeah. White House cards are looking pretty shit right now.